What's up, everyone? Today I'm going to be showcasing my Sega Saturn game collection. And as you guys can clearly see, I have a lot of games for this system. 83 of them, in fact. So this is going to be a pretty long video, but I'll try to make this as short as possible. So, I've started collecting for this console back in June of 2023, and in the first 2 years that I started collecting for this console, I was getting games left and right. I was getting so many games in volume to the point where I couldn't stop. And then I slowed down a lot in 2025 as I'm now living in a place of my own and I gotta manage my own money. So, without any further ado, since this is gonna be a very long video, let's just go straight into it. Alright, I had to move the camera to the very first row so that way I can get started on this collection. But before I get to the actual games, I want to show you one demo disc that I own. And that is the Sega Saturn Choice Cuts demo disc. And it has these games right here. I got this on one of the games when I acquired it in a game store, so that was pretty cool. This is the only demo disc that I have. Alright, now let's get into the games. Amok. Andretti Racing. Arcade's Greatest Hits, the Atari Collection 1, featuring Asteroids, Battlezone, Centipede, Missile Command, Super Breakout, and Tempest. Pretty nice collection there. Area 51. Actually a pretty decent light gun game. Give it a shot if you haven't already. A Stall. Beautiful platformer. And the only Sega Saturn game that has no logo on the spine, which is pretty hilarious to see. You look at the shelf and you see nothing on there and you're like, what is this game? It's a Stall. Baku Baku. Fun puzzle game. Bases Loaded 96 doubleheader. Battle Arena Toshinden Remix. Yeah, it's not that good of a fighting game, in my honest opinion. Black Dawn. Blazing Dragons. Blazing Heroes, also known as Mysteria: The Realms of Lore. Pretty fun RPG game. Underrated too. Breakpoint Tennis. Bug. Now we're on to the second row of games. Bug 2. Centering Boxing, with the upside down Sega Saturn logo on the spine. I will say that was the only reason why I got that game. Clockwork Knight, not a bad platformer. Clockwork Knight 2, the better of the two, I will say. Courier Crisis. Croc, Legend of the Gobos. Now, I grew up with the PlayStation version of this game. I actually played this version a little bit. Honestly, I prefer the PS1 version, but the Saturn version is not too bad. Crusader No Remorse. By the way, with that weird... Look at how weird that is right there. And it's also on the spine. Like, I'm going to make another video showing the quality control of Sega at the time. Cyber Speedway. I wish that had the music from Grand Chaser. I didn't really like the music in Cyber Speedway. Darius Gaiden. By the way, Grand Chaser is the Japanese version of Cyber Speedway, for those that don't know. Dark Legend. Dark Savior. Absolutely brilliant. It's basically an RPG mixed with platforming, mixed with fighting. It's a pretty fun game. One of my childhood favorites right here, Daytona USA. I remember playing this game as a kid, and I absolutely enjoy it. And then here's the updated version of that game, Daytona USA Championship Circuit Edition. Call me crazy, but I prefer the original over this. The cars feel a little weird for me playing on this version, in my honest opinion. And yes, call me crazy for that take, but even if the graphics were horrible in the original, I still play the original more. Decathlete, absolute blast. Seriously, this is a very fun track and field game, especially when you have friends over. It is very fun, especially. Alright, let's get into the third row out of 6. Dragonheart Fire and Steel. Not good. Not a good game at all. Stay away from that unless you're a Sega Saturn fanatic like I am. Earthworm Jim 2. Yes, the case looks kind of horrible on the top, but at least I have the game. It's a run and gun. Pretty fun. I'm stuck on that balloon level, though. I can never get past that part. F1 Challenge. Fighters Mega Mix. Pretty much the ultimate fighting game that came out for the US Saturn. It has characters from Fighting Vipers, Virtua Fighter 2, and other games as well. Pretty fun. Speaking of Fighting Vipers, here is Fighting Vipers. One of my childhood favorites. I love this game. Basically an armor-based fighting game. And I enjoy it when you can punch them with maximum power to the point where they can get out of the ring. It's so much fun doing that. I love the music. I love the gameplay. It is so much fun. Very underrated. Spent a lot of hours on this as a kid. Absolutely enjoyed it. Frank Thomas Big Hurt Baseball. I forgot to mention that this collection spans across 3 different states, and about 40% of this collection came on eBay. I forgot to mention that in the beginning of the video. Galactic Attack. The other shoot 'em up game that came out in North America on the Saturn, along with Darius Gaiden. Pretty fun. Grid Runner. Basically capture the flag and tag in one game. Pretty interesting concept. And now this one is my most expensive Sega Saturn game that I currently own. And it's Guardian Heroes. What a great game. Honestly, if you ever have the chance to play this on emulator, or if you're a collector like I am, definitely give this a try. It is so much fun. Basically, it's an RPG and a beat 'em up. Pretty interesting concept. High Octane. High Velocity Mountain Racing Challenge. Hyper 3D Pinball. I love my pinball games. Definitely want to get all 4 of them that came out for the US Saturn. Underrated fighting game right here as well. Last Bronx. Weapons-based fighter. Absolutely fun. Smooth animations, everything. Last Gladiators Digital Pinball. Another pinball game that came out for the Saturn. And both Hyper 3D Pinball and Last Gladiators are Saturn exclusives in North America. The other 2 I don't even have are True Pinball and Pro Pinball. But that came out on PS1. The Legend of Oasis. What a great game. I need to get back into playing this. I haven't played it that much because RPGs just take forever. But Legend of Oasis is pretty fun. Machine Head. Madden NFL 98. Yeah, I got quite a bit of sports games, but Not very many. Ah, yes. Mortal Kombat 2. One of the greatest Mortal Kombat games ever made, but not on this console because there's a lot of issues. The announcer does not even mention like the characters and say Katana wins or Liu Kang wins. All he ever says is like fight and finish him and her. That's like the only things he says, and plus the lag is unreal. And plus the loading times. The loading times are atrocious. So if you ever were to play Mortal Kombat 2, I don't recommend the Sega Saturn port. It's just pick a better version of the game, honestly. Underrated gem right here, in my honest opinion. This game is like one of my new favorite Sega Saturn games. I did not grow up with this game as a kid. But it's Mr. Bones. It's basically like WarioWare, if you think about it. But the stages take longer. There's one level where you're running away from skeletons. There's one level where you're going from one part to the next. But you have to be a certain skeletal structure to complete it. Guitar riff, all that. I mean, very underrated. Doesn't get appreciated by a lot of people. I definitely recommend giving this game a try. It doesn't get talked about that much. And I feel like it needs to get more appreciation. Myst. I am not good at Myst. NASCAR 98. The only NASCAR game that came out for the Sega Saturn. NBA Jam Extreme. I'm not really much of a basketball guy, but I have some basketball games. NBA Live 98. Here's a good fighting game right here. Night Warriors, Darkstalkers Revenge. I'm telling you, the Sega Saturn is really good at 2D fighters. It looks amazing on this console. Even better than the PlayStation. Definitely worth checking out if you're into 2D fighters. What could be the Sega Saturn without this game right here? Seriously, like, this just defines the console with one game. Nights into Dreams. It was made by Sonic Team, so that's a good start. And it's basically, and it's so hard to describe this game unless you really play it, but all I'm going to say is, if you're going to play this game, use the 3D control pad. Do not use the regular controller. It is so much easier playing this on the 3D control pad. It was meant for this game. So, yeah. Definitely recommend Nights into Dreams. Really good. Off-World Interceptor Extreme. Oh yeah, another series of games that defines the Sega Saturn right here. Panzer Dragoon. Really good on-rail shooter. I really need to beat this game someday. Definitely worth adding to the Sega Saturn library. And Panzer Dragoon 2 Zwei. Another great game. I do not have Panzer Dragoon Saga. Pebble Beach Golf Links. Classic. What can go wrong with that? PGA Tour 97. Another golf game. Although I kind of prefer Pebble Beach over that one. Revolution X. If only this game had the Sega Stunner support, this would have definitely been a lot more playable. Unfortunately, it doesn't. Road Rash. Now, I also grew up playing this game as a kid, but this is obviously not my childhood copy. Obviously, the ones that I played as a child are not my childhood copies, unfortunately. But this was one of those games that I had as a kid. It's not bad. Good old 90s gaming right there. Robotica. This is interesting. It's a shooter, but every level you play is randomly generated. It's not the same experience every time when you play this game. So weird, in my honest opinion. Absolute classic right here. Just unbelievable. Sega Rally Championship. I mean, what could I say about this game? Just amazing. Sega Touring Car Championship. Now, funny thing is, I got this game out of state. I went to a game store over there, and the next day, I went to an arcade near the area, and they had this exact game on arcade, which was funny, because I was like, wow, I just got the Sega Saturn version from a game store, and then I find the arcade version. That was pretty funny. It's not a bad racing game. It lags sometimes, which is kind of unfortunate. Solar Eclipse. Soviet Strike. I need to play this game more. I am terrible at this one. But honestly, if I were to play a Strike game, it would be Desert Strike. I have a lot of fun playing that. Starfighter. Striker 96. Soccer game. Tempest 2000. What a great game. This really got me into the Tempest games. Obviously, everyone's heard about the Atari Jaguar version, but did you know there was a Sega Saturn version of that game? 10-Pin Alley. And yes, the case is pretty broken right there. But this is the only bowling game that came out for the US Saturn. I love bowling, so that's kind of why I got that bowling game. Tomb Raider. I mean, everyone knows about Tomb Raider, right? And now we're on to the last stack. Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3. It's actually a decent port, but it still has that long loading times and all that stuff. Just like, you know, how it is with disc-based games, but it's okay. Again, just like Mortal Kombat 2, if you were to play Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3, just play it on another console. Another childhood game of mine. I remember playing this game quite a bit. Virtua Cop. Man, the memories. The memories of that game is unreal. And then we have the sequel, Virtua Cop 2. I did not grow up with this game. Only the first one. And honestly, the second game is a little bit better than the original. Ah, yes. Virtua Fighter 2. Another childhood game that I grew up with. So much fun. I mean, what could be said about Virtua Fighter 2? Alright, let's talk about a bad game now. Some people know about this one. And it's Virtual Hydlide. Yes, I have this game. Even though it's because I found it at a game store and they were asking for a lower price. So I'm like, you know what? Even though this is a horrible game, yeah, you know what? I don't care. I'll have it. Virtual On Cyber Troopers. Good fighting game. VR Soccer. The Williams collection of the Midway's Arcade's Greatest Hits, featuring Robotron 2084, Defender, Joust, Defender 2, Sinistar, and Bubbles. Now, I grew up with 4 of those games on the Game Boy Advance. So 4 of those I was very familiar with. I was not familiar with Defender 2 and Bubbles. Wing Arms. Wipeout. World Cup Golf Professional Edition. I will admit, this game makes me sleep. World Series Baseball 2. Alright, long title right here. Worldwide Soccer, Sega International Victory Goal Edition. Or Sega International Victory Goal. And the last game I have is X-Men Children of the Atom. Another great 2D fighting game right here. And that is it. A total of 83 Sega Saturn games in my collection. I definitely love this console. Nostalgia was a big factor on the reason why I love this, obviously. And I really want to collect more for this system. I want to, at one point, get at least 100 games for this system. That's one of my goals. There are so many games I still want to get for this console, like Die Hard Arcade, Saturn Bomberman, you name it. There's quite a bit of games I really want to get for this system. And that's all I really have to say. So, I will see you guys in the next video. Take care.